Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel. Today I want to start the reading vlog for one of my most anticipated reads for a couple of years now that I've always been a little bit scared of, but I think it is about time we're reading this, and it is The Spear Cuts Through Water by Simon Jimenez. This is a book that I know nothing about. I love the cover. I think it is a very, very gorgeous cover that probably will fit the story quite well, even though I have no idea what the story is actually about. But I've heard that this has a very unique style of narration, so I'm definitely intrigued to figure that out and see how I get on with it. I hope this will be 5 stars. It is a very strong 5-star prediction of mine, so I will be very sad if it's not. So far I can't really tell you anything about this, but the way this vlog will work is that I will always talk to you after about 25% of the book. So after the first quarter, when I'm halfway through the third quarter, and then when I have finished the book. I will keep this spoiler free, probably up until the end, but I will definitely tell you if I go into any spoiler territory, so you're safe if you haven't read the book. But I really want to have this experience with you, and I think it's going to be amazing. This is also a buddy read with my booktube friend Clio, so I will link her channel down below as well, so you can go and check her out. Definitely love her channel a lot, and yeah, we'll see how this goes. I'm planning on spacing this out a little bit because of the buddy read, so yeah, I'm planning to really take my time with it and savor it, and I'm excited to get into it. So see you when I'm 25% through the book. So I'm now a quarter into The Spear Cuts Through Water, and it is time for my first update. Now I want to tell you a little bit more of what this book is actually about, because I haven't really done that yet. And yeah, this is a very interesting story, a very interesting narrative style, and so far I'm having a lot of fun with it. So in this one, we do have a second-person narration where the story is told to us as we are kind of a child, and we have a Lola, which I guess is a grandma, who is kind of telling us stories and kind of bringing to us the mythology of the land where the family comes from. And we learn through that this mythological background. And one of the things she talks about is this dream theater where you are only invited once in your life, and in this theater you can watch one play. And so we are basically also seeing the play that we as that character are seeing once we get to the dream theater. And this play is about a empire with an emperor, and basically they have the emperor and his family, they have magical powers because they're not all human. They have like a godly part to them. And we are following mostly the story of a person called the First Terror, who is the eldest son of the emperor, and we see that he kind of has a plan to kind of get rid of his father and de facto take over the power in this land. However, before he can accomplish that, something happens and the emperor is killed, and the mother of these princes is set free, and she is the godly part. And so the first part of this, what is called the before, the first 90 pages, is so amazing. Like, so amazing. I was blazing through it. I had such a good time. I think the way the story is narrated definitely has this dreamlike atmosphere, and you always kind of forget that you're in a dream, that you're watching this play, and then there are these moments when you're kind of pulled out again to get back into this like storyline where it talks about you and the Lola and stuff like that. So it just has such a great way of telling the story, and I was immediately sucked in. If you know anything about me, I love second person narration a lot, like a lot. So this works extremely well for me. And what I think this also does exceptionally well is that it has like very, very little time with these characters, and yet does an amazing job of portraying who these characters are. You really get a feel for them, and they feel real with just that little information. And I think that is just such an amazing feat in a book like that. And in that regard, it reminds me a little bit of The Grace of Kings as well, which is one of my favorite fantasy books. So absolutely a winner so far. The beginning of this book, just incredibly good. The ending of this before part is kind of a wild chase that I did not see coming, but I was 100% here for. And because the writing style of this is a little bit more detached, you're not really very close to any of these characters. You also know that pretty much no one is safe. You just know that they can get hurt, they can die within the blink of an eye. But as we continue on from this before part, starting with the part that is called The First Day, we do have more of a clear-cut set of characters that we're now following. And we have two young men. One, I think, is called Jun, and one is Kima. And both of these kind of got sucked into this. Kima a little bit more than, I'm just gonna say Jun. Jun is the son of the first Terra, and his job was to protect the captive mother, which obviously he didn't do very well. And then Kima is a one-armed man, and he worked in one of the kind of like gate towers where travelers would be checked and have to pay bribes if they want to travel. And this is kind of like the gate that Yoon with his mother kind of is traveling through, and Kima kind of joins them on her way. He has his own objective. He has a spear that he needs to bring to someone for a certain person we also met in this first part. So these two are traveling with what looks like a corpse, but is actually this goddess. And she doesn't speak, but she's very powerful, and she can kind of mind talk to Yoon. So we do get a little bit of her thoughts as well. And she's very snarky. She's not amused with any of this, and I really love it. So yeah, I think these are the characters that ultimately we are going to follow more now. And Kima is just the best. The way he gets introduced, you just get such a like firm grip on the person he is from just such few scenes that he's in. I absolutely love it. In this gate, he is mistreated by the soldiers because he only has one arm, and that means bad luck, basically. It can have like different reasons. It can be like a punishment, or if you get hurt in a war. So none of this is like good reasons. So that's why people with missing limbs are seen as bad luck. And so he's mistreated, but he also has this connection to these children who live in the gate. And he's kind of like playing along with their games, even if they're kind of making fun of him and stuff like that. And it's just so good. It's just so good to see him like who he is, and you immediately feel for him and you just want the best for him. And now he's on this quest, basically. With Yoon, it is a little bit more difficult because mostly what we got in the beginning of the book is his father's view of him. So it's a little bit harder to really pinpoint him as a character. But now that these two are traveling together, we do get a little bit more, and we see that in the past he has been definitely the son of his father, and it's not a coincidence. His father is called a terror. He is not a kind man. He's very brutal. He has a lot of sons, and he likes to take them to terrorize the people who live in this empire, basically. And it seems that now that Yoon has decided to help this goddess, he has to grapple with that and his past. So yeah, I'm just so excited to continue reading this. So far, this is so amazing. I can't even tell you. So yeah, I am very excited to continue. This is also a buddy read, so we're definitely trying to read the same parts around the same time so we can chat about them. So yeah, I'll let you know when I'm halfway through the book. So I'm now halfway through Spear Cuts Through Water, actually a little bit more than halfway. Last night I finished reading day 2 of this story, and I would say that the second quarter of the book has slowed down a little bit because it just gets a little bit more focused in on the whole like journeying aspect of these characters. Meanwhile, why I say this, there's still a lot of like crazy stuff happening, and there's still a lot going on in this book. We get this like big glimpse into this empire, into this world, how it is organized. We do see how the people in power exploit the people that are not in power, and how those people try to stand up, but they have like really not a lot of chance to fight back. This is just such a violent world, so it's very interesting to read about. We do get more of our two main characters, Yoon and Kima, and I really love them. I think that the way they are explored in this one is like really great because Yoon has this like dark history. He has been such a terrible person, basically a baby terror, if you want to say it like that. And he really has to deal with this. He's also kind of haunted by it, but he also has to confront people who have suffered under his actions of the past. And I think that is just so interesting to see, and he's such a clear contrast to Kima, who is more of a positive person, I would say. He's just trying to do this like one job to fulfill his oath that he gave to deliver this spear. And I think the way that these two kind of play off of each other is just a very, very good dynamic to keep you interested in the story, even while they're just basically traveling along the way and meeting new people and meeting allies, meeting enemies, meeting enemy allies, I guess. The Empress is so interesting. I think I really love her. She's definitely a force to reckon with, and she doesn't play around. Like, she is on a mission, and if you don't do what she wants, you do not want to be in her way. So I definitely also enjoy the portrayal of her quite a lot. I think that it is, yeah, it's just really fun in a very weird way. Like, I do not want to meet her. I do not want to serve her, but I do appreciate her quite a bit in this story. In these like 2 days that we've now seen, we've traveled to kind of different landscapes. We have traveled through one that is more like farming, like rice farming, and now we're in kind of these, like, it's kind of like a river region where there is just a ton of like different streams and canals, and it's like very hard to navigate. And we see more of the like fishing and water part of this world. And I just really enjoy the way that we see these different parts of the world, but how they all like suffered the same kind of terrible things. Just a very violent book, so you have to be prepared for that. But because it has this mythological aspect to it, it has like some surprising things that happen. Definitely, some of these plot points I did not see coming at all. Like, especially at the end of the second day, there is some things going on that I found very surprising. I definitely need to know what happens next because, yeah, we're not in a great place right now. So I definitely look forward to reading the next couple of pages in this to find out what the hell is happening to our characters right now. So definitely you're in for a ride, even when it feels more calmed down in the plot. You just never know what's around the next corner, which kind of also fits with the whole like river idea, I guess. So I'm still hooked. I'm still like caring deeply about these characters. I still kind of hope for a bit of a romantic aspect here, but we'll see. It's probably not. I'm not preparing for a happy ending here. Don't get me wrong. And yeah, I just really adore the way that all like main characters here deal with their feelings. It's like very boyish, but I kind of like it. And then we also have this story of the person that is addressed as you in this book. And that is also quite intriguing because it goes into a bit of a different direction. Because in the first quarter of the book, that person very much feels like a child because you are in the like childhood memories quite a lot. But in this part, they are definitely more mature, they are older and reflecting back on a lot of things that happened, and not a lot of them are very great. Now, I must be honest that if this directly refers to anything that happened in our world, I'm not getting it, which is probably just because I don't know a lot about like world history, unfortunately. So if you know anything about that, definitely let me know in the comments. But yeah, it is definitely also a sad story that is behind this, and it's just an interesting mirror to then have this mythological story as well. So I'm definitely intrigued to see where both of these stories go, and I will update you again when I'm 75% through this book. So I'm now over 75% into the Spear Cuts Through Water. It has been a little while since my last update, because I'm reading this quite slowly, to be fair, but I'm also really enjoying reading it in that way, because this is a very, very beautiful story that I definitely want to take my time with. And it's just like every like kind of chapter or part of this kind of feels like its own story in a way, and so taking breaks between them also doesn't feel neglectful or anything. So yeah, I'm definitely enjoying going through this book very kind of slowly, but with a lot of like just attention to this book, because this is definitely something you want to take in fully, and there's just so much in this one. And I don't know, I feel like this has all of my feelings in its grip, and the way the story progresses is very I don't know, like very unusual in a way, something that I'm not necessarily expecting. And because of that, yeah, it just definitely has its hook in me. This book is at the same time like wild in what is happening and what is going on, and just quietly sad and beautiful. And this is such an interesting mix that I've never read in a book quite like this. And so, yeah, I'm still like very much enjoying my time with this. Yesterday, when I was reading it, I even thought about like starting it from the beginning already. I haven't even finished it yet, and I already want to reread it just to take in even more of the story. And yeah, plot wise, I don't want to spoil anything. Maybe what I can say is that we do get a part in this that is told from a kind of new perspective that we haven't had before. And it's just very powerful the way that this is used and the reasoning behind why we switched to this perspective for that part. And I think it made it just even more interesting to have that look into this character that we had seen before but hadn't really been in their head before. So that was lovely. This also has a scene that was honestly hotter than any romance novel I've ever read in my life. It was so kind of like sensual, and I don't know, it was fantastic the way it was done. So this book just, it has everything, even a little bit of spice if you want that. So it's fantastic, and I can't wait to read the rest now. I actually have about like 20-ish% left because I'm a little bit over 75% mark. I have read the end of day 4 now, so I have day 5 ahead of me. And yeah, this is a buddy read, and Clio, my reading buddy, already finished day 5 yesterday, and she said it's very sad. So I'm not sure if I'm ready for this to be even more sad than it already was. But yeah, we will do it. We will read the rest of this book now. I'm like really stoked to get into this kind of like final part of the book, but also a little bit afraid for these characters, and just, I don't know, I already know that when I come to the end of this, I want to reread it. And I do not have time for a reread, but we'll see about that. For now, let's get into the last quarter of this book. I'm back here because last night I finally finished reading The Spear Cuts Through Water. I basically flew through that last part of the book. It was so phenomenal, exciting, sad, tragic, but also lovely and beautiful. Did I say that already? I don't know. This book was everything. For me, this is a 6-star read. I just can only gush about this one because yeah, this is like everything I want in a fantasy book. I felt all the feels. I loved all of these characters, even though with quite a few of these we don't actually have like a lot of page time, but still you start caring about them so much. And yeah, everything about this is just perfect. The ending is just perfect. So I don't really know what else to say to you except for like, go out and read this right now if you haven't already, because this is really truly what I love in a fantasy book. Like, this is my fantasy DNA and I love it. And I think if you love books like The Grace of Kings, for example, you will probably also really love this one, even though they're very, very different. But I feel like those are kind of like the thing in fantasy that is specifically for me. So yeah, I just really hope you pick this book up. It's one of a kind, it's stunning, and you need to read it. And I think with that, I will end the spoiler-free part of this little video. And for everyone who's already read this book, I think I want to go into a couple of spoilers at the end right now. So if you haven't read this book yet, thank you so much for watching. I hope I could convince you to pick this book up. This really is just probably gonna be the best book I read this year, and it's everything. It's, as I said, it's basically a 6-star book. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Leave a like and a nice comment. Let me know whether you want to pick this book up now after watching my video. But for everyone else, let's talk some spoilers. Now, I don't know if this handheld situation is the right time to do a deep dive into the spoilers for this book. I haven't filmed like that in a while. I just had played around with some other angles, but today I thought, let's go back to the basics, and my arm strength is already failing me. However, we need to talk about this book. So let's start out with kind of the background story. And if you know anything about me, I love second-person narration. We are addressed in this book as a person who is kind of the last person of this family. They have always been kind of singled out by their grandmother and have been told these stories, these mythological stories by their grandmother. And now we are that person, and we learn a little bit about this backstory, but it all stays kind of vague. But I still loved what was done with the story, the way it was incorporated at the end with the spear, and also this moment where this person is thinking about why me? Why am I kind of the person in this room with the spear right now? But then they're like, there is no specific reason. You're just being you. And that was just such a beautiful moment. I cried my eyes out. I think because the writing is so stunning, these moments really hit home. The way everything is phrased is so beautiful, and it just hit the mark with me. It made me tear up. It made me feel all of those feels, and especially where I'm at in life right now, I feel like I needed some of the stuff that was said, especially within this frame story, because this person is kind of the last of their family, and I kind of feel like this is going to be me as well in a couple of years, because I don't have children, I don't have a partner, and most of my relatives are very, very old, and I don't think that I will ever have a really deep connection to my half siblings, for example. So I really feel that kind of being left, being the last one, it just hit something in me, and I really love that perspective. So this overall frame story was really great, and I really loved that. And I especially loved the moment in the theater when the two are brought together, when this person gives the spear to Kima, and it was just perfect. The way that it ends, I'm jumping around a little bit, I hope it's okay, but the way this ends with all of these chapters just being titled we tied this knot, the way that it references this tapestry, but that is not done. The way that the story unfolds is how the tapestry is created, knot by knot. And I just love the visual of that, the idea of that it's not something that is predetermined, that is just out there and you just have to come in and do your part, but that it is a growing thing around you while the story is told. I think that is such a beautiful image, and I just loved it so much. Now, going deeper into the main story, we have our characters Kima and Yoon, and I already said I love these boys to the bottom of my heart. All of their interactions are so beautiful, and Kima is just everything that's good in the world. Let's be real, he is such an amazing character, and I love him so dearly. And the moment when you think that he is going to drown, but then you have this inkling of a feeling that this is not the end. And again, how this frame story was brought into it again, with the person being hey, but I thought this was a love story, and then we get the rest of the tale. It's just immaculate. It's so perfect, and I feel this was exactly where I was when that scene happened, when it was playing out, when I thought, well, is he drowning right now? And then I was like, but no, we need them to find something together. And then Yoon obviously is such a conflicted character. He thinks he doesn't deserve anything good because of what he has done in the past. And I think he has such a interesting redemption arc just because he thinks there is no redemption for him, and the goddess also told him there is no redemption for him. And so we are the ones being like, no, but you deserve a second try. You deserve to leave that behind and start afresh. And I think that is such an interesting perspective, because usually with like kind of villain stories, it is the other way around. It is them thriving maybe for redemption, and us being like, but will we really forgive you? Because like we are on the outside. And I think flipping that on its head is such a powerful move in this story, because from the first moment I was on Yoon's side and I was like, no, you deserve this. And yes, you have been like a cruel motherfucker before, but you deserve love too, and you deserve a chance for happiness, and especially because it's gonna mean Kima's happiness, and he deserves it all. So I think, yeah, just that setup of these characters was so clever, was so interesting, and because of that we also have a lot of tension. And I think it's like very fitting that the first like physical interactions we see between Kima and Yoon are fights, because both of them don't really know how to deal with their feelings for each other, their attraction for each other, and because they both think that this can't be real, this can't be a love story. So I think that is reflected so well that they're drawn together, but they can't really deal with it, and so they start these like ridiculous fights. And yeah, I just thought it made so much sense the way that these characters are. And then obviously we have the Empress, the goddess, and she is kind of like the thing that sets everything into motion. And what I love about her character is that she has never been good. And I love that, because for me, when I think about gods, I think about like beings that are so powerful that they don't have to care. She never had to care about anyone else than herself, and you can absolutely see that. And also the way that her story is told, the way that she was cut down from the sky by this like one warrior dude who then becomes the emperor, and the way that he asks her for sons. She grants it to him, but only because he did what she wanted, basically. And I think it is so interesting that she, even with everything that she suffers, she is just a little bitch. And I love that, because for me, if she would have like turned to a good person because of the things that happened to her or anything like that, I wouldn't have found it believable for a god. Obviously, she just gets more bitter, more revengeful, but also more cunning. And her character is just so impressive. And also the way she knows that there is no redemption for her, that she's never going to be a good person. However, she is kind of just cleaning up her mess. Phenomenal. Just phenomenal. I love it. Perfection. It's just perfection. This book is perfection. And I think all the magic is also so interesting in this one, because you don't really have a lot of like explanation. It's like a very mythological book in that sense, because some people do have magic, and it is explained like a little bit, like which kind of magic the Empress gave to those 3 sons, for example. But it's not like very explained, like this is how this magic works. And there is this moment during that like final battle on the 5th day when Yoon and Kima are kind of jumping from roof to roof, and I was like getting like a Mistborn flashback, and I was like, thank God we don't get like a 10-page explanation of the exact physics of this jumping. It's literally like 2 sentences. And I was like, oh my god, that is like so much more me. I enjoy that so much more. Like obviously they get these powers and they use them like on the next day as if they've always had them. So there's not a lot of like trying out and testing out and getting accustomed to this magic. It's mythological. Obviously they have it, they start using it, they figure it out. And I don't know, that just works a lot better for me. I don't need like scientific explanations of magic. So overall, yeah, this was just great. Maybe let's lastly talk quickly about the 3 terrors, because I thought they were so interesting as well. And with the first terror, I think that it's so fascinating because obviously he also is just a sick motherfucker, but you see the way that Yoon still loves him and the way that he is dedicated to his sons and they are dedicated to him, and how that is complicated. This is definitely complicated, but it still makes you see him in a different light. You don't only see him, that's the cat, she's annoyed with me for filming. You don't only see him being like a murderer, someone who destroys villages and kills people, but you also see him as this father figure. And so in a way, the immense love he has for his sons is something that shows character depth, and you still kind of feel for him because of that. And especially with the way his story ends, it's like absolutely terrible and sad. And I think it's so interesting the way that Simon Jimenez manages to make you care for these terrible people who were born into so much power that they never had to consider other people around them. So that's the first terror. The second terror I had my issues with because he is a little bit overpowered in this one. The cat is just going full berserk right now. But yeah, I felt like the second terror, the way that his magic works, that he can basically make almost anyone do anything, it's just not something I love. I don't love an overpowered villain, and the way this plays out is like this scene between him and the first terror where he basically makes him kill all of his sons. I couldn't even enjoy it, even though it was done to this terrible person, because I just hated the second terror so much more, and I just wanted him to die. And the way he started eating his mother, I know that my reading buddy Clio was very into that kind of storyline. I thought it was just so gross. It was so gross. But this whole idea of eating a god and taking on their powers, it was also just very interesting to me. And now we have the third terror, and the third terror definitely is a very sad tale. We get this one very late in the story, and I felt like it suffered a little bit because of that. I also think that, I don't know, I didn't really love the way that he was portrayed, the way that he was this animal that never really got socialized, and because of that, even though he's 40-ish years old, he still behaves like a child, and he's still called the child. He never got a name even. So I don't know how I felt about that. I think it could have been more interesting. Wasn't the biggest fan of him, but then in the whole, basically how it was explained, which powers went to which son and how that affected their lives, I think was very interesting indeed. Maybe very last point, we have the story of the spear and of this grandfather, mother, daughter relationship that we see with, I think it's Araya, I don't know, me and names, don't even ask. I think that one, while it was interesting, it never quite pulled me in. It was too much on the sidelines for me to really make me care deeply. I did really love the mother when we meet her at that first gate, the way that we see that there is something in her that just hurts so much, but she's keeping it all together and being a leader and being so good to Kima as well. So that was definitely a character that I enjoyed, but I think her daughter just was brought into the story too late for me to really get a connection to her. And then there's this moment where it's like, yeah, and she was only 50 years old. And up until that point, she was like in her 20s in my head. And then I'm like, wait, what? She's 15? So that information maybe would have been interesting a little bit earlier in the tale. But yeah. Love this book. I love this book. I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions. If you want to write about any spoilers, please make sure you mark them in the comments so nobody gets spoiled by accident. But I definitely want to hear what you thought. What was your favorite moment of the book? Did you get goosebumps when the line, "the spear cuts through water," is revealed in the book? Because I did. Okay, I think I'm just gonna stop. I could talk about this for hours, and we're not here for that. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you had fun with me discovering this story, and I'll talk to you very soon. Bye!